Well, thank you so much. And I think I get to be new for about 10 days more, and then it's going to run out. I think Matt had me not new anymore about 10 days ago. So there's a tiny window, but it is absolutely wonderful to come here for the first time and get to meet all of you and get to understand more and more. If you come into a new brief, especially one the size of health, there genuinely is so much to read into and to understand. And something as technical and significant as health, set aside the health delivery, policy and innovation, it's absolutely fascinating to come into this world, to meet all of you. Thank you for your kindness and your welcome to me this morning. Thank you for stopping to talk to me and tell me about your companies. I look forward to getting to know each company and each piece of innovation in greater and greater detail, and being able to work with you and also represent you as appropriate in Europe and represent our collective community here in health innovation, in pharmaceuticals, and in driving Ireland as a great place to go further than we already have together. But I really genuinely look forward to working with you, and I'm certainly somebody who comes with a very, very open mind and a desire to get problems solved where they need to be solved and just drive further ahead, recognising the very, very significant impact that you make to people's lives, as Matt has said, but also that you make to the Irish economy and to Ireland as a place of genuine innovation in Europe and more broadly. And I think, when you can hear, again, when you come in as Minister for Health, always the focus is the impact on patients. Always the focus is on individuals. And again, the work that you do, I do hope you get to see the impact that it has on patients. And I know we're going to hear today, and you've emphasised that, Oliver and Shane have emphasised that today with Bernard, Miriam and Patrick, giving their own accounts from a patient's perspective, and Matt's reflection about the impact that medicines and access to medicines make on so many people's lives. And our real challenge together is making sure that those of us who have access to medicine, the medicine that we need, that we continue to enjoy it, but that whether it's we as individuals or we as member states of the European Union or anywhere else, never ever take an I'm all right, Jack approach to that, and continually work to make sure that those who do need access, either to existing medication or that innovation that you continue to drive, that they also have that equitable access to medication, which really should be a basic human right. And I'm here to work with you to make sure that the innovation that you're driving is delivered to individuals right across Europe, whether it's Romania, Ireland, Denmark, Germany, or wherever else. And we have a big body of work to do. So recognising that, I really am committed to working with you. And again, just stepping back again, I'm off to America, as so many ministers are. We celebrate St. Patrick's Day in Ireland by leaving one person in charge. Martin Hayden is this year's designated survivor. So if anything goes wrong, you can go to Martin Hayden, who is very, very, very good at agriculture. But the rest of us are leaving, and we're leaving on your behalf to try and go and talk to the rest of the world about Ireland and the value of Ireland and Ireland's continued place in the global economy. And I will be in New York and Chicago to try and deepen the economic and the social and cultural links. And it's a very important time to do that. And of course, the pharmaceutical industry continues to be a huge pillar of our Irish economy. The work that you do to innovate and produce products has a really transformative effect on local communities right around Ireland. And I've seen that in different ways already, but also the impact that it has on our global reputation and on that continued contribution to Ireland. So we do have that very significant focus on the United States. I've heard people already this morning describing to me, and quite correctly, the bilateral trade relationship that we have and how significant a player Ireland is in the United States. Of course, we are, quite astonishingly, every time I say it or hear it, it really strikes me, the sixth largest investor from a foreign direct investment perspective in the United States, with Irish companies representing 351 billion euros of trade and employing almost 100,000 people across the States. And of course, that's very much a two-way relationship. But it is important to reflect and to acknowledge the success of Irish companies and how much they're driving in the United States as well as here, and how important that two-way relationship really is to both of us. Shane has referenced the innovation in Europe and the pharmaceutical strategy for Europe, and I meet my health colleagues for the first time in an informal EPSCO at the end of March in Warsaw. And there is really significant European legislation that's going to impact us in the coming years. And the Irish government is committed, as we always try to be, to finding common ground between the different tensions or the different pull points in that, and working with you to make sure that we do that. I really do acknowledge the very, very significant and professional and important level of engagement that IPHA has had on this important legislative file. And, you know, we're trying to support the Commission's objectives generally, which are to make medicines available, accessible and affordable. And also, as you have highlighted, supporting innovation and supporting Europe more broadly as a competitive environment, not just for pharmaceuticals, but more broadly. And we have that challenge in financial services, we have that challenge in manufacturing, and we have to take these, you know, holistic collective perspectives as we approach this file as any other file, recognising as well that we genuinely want to improve access to all medications to everybody across Europe, and we have to balance out some of those supply chain issues across Europe. And I think that's sort of fair enough, and we just need to work together over the next number of months on these files to try to get to that point. But the outcome of the negotiations are going to be hugely important to patients, to national health systems and to the pharmaceutical industry in the years to come. And I do hope that agreement can be reached by the end of this year, whether it's possible within this presidency. I'm not sure, but I do hope by the end of this year. And I think that's further, you know, and so let's just focus on that and work together to try to get that done in the right way for Ireland and for Europe together. Thank you for your references to the programme for government and for your interest and indeed your contribution to us in putting together the programme for government, which we hugely appreciate. And thank you for recognising our commitment both to this industry, to improving access to medicines in Ireland, to enhancing clinical trials, which I'm really excited about and can't wait to speak to you more about. Thank you for your emphasis in acknowledging the life sciences emphasis in the programme for government. And I hope that you will feel our, you know, the government or the programme for government's genuine interest in this industry and in driving innovation forward in a range of different ways. And I appreciate your acknowledgement of that. On the clinical trials, I am really eager to see clinical trials conducted in Ireland in this way, and to speaking more to the clinical trials oversight group, who I think are meeting in my department on Thursday, and I hope I'll get to see you. While we have invested substantially in the infrastructure for trials over the last 15 years, I know that more needs to be done to improve the landscape. And, you know, we'll report later this year of the Clinical Trials Oversight Group, and I'm really excited to see what their work brings. Also, on the framework agreements on supply and pricing, I recognise the amount of work that's been done, and we have a very significant opportunity this year to develop our new agreement. Of course, this goes back to the 1970s and providing certainty, stability on the pricing of medicines in Ireland. And over the course of the current agreement, the state has made over €125 million available to fund new medicine. And that sustained funding has facilitated the approval of nearly 200 new medicines for across a wide range of therapeutic areas such as asthma, cancer, lupus and migraine. And further applications included medicines for public health issues such as diabetes, HIV-1 infection, opioid dependence, smoking cessation and weight loss. And so as we approach our next agreement, and I'm really open to it and looking forward to it, I really encourage you to give thought on how we can have even more creative solutions to ensure access, affordability and availability of medicines for patients. And I note your position paper, and thank you for it, on fairer and faster access to medicines, which was given to me and released ahead of today's conference. So thank you, Oliver, and everybody involved in that extra work. And I know that you're saying to me, and you know this is very easy to say at the beginning of, say, a new minister coming in, that decisions aren't being made quickly enough and that we need to do more on that. I recognise that sentiment from my time in the Department of Finance as Minister for Financial Services, where again there were questions around the central bank and were things going quickly enough and how that was being managed. And of course the nuance, the answer is always in some of the detail. Yes, sometimes the state can do things much faster, can be more responsive, can be more clear in its responses, can have more single points of engagement. And yes, it's also true that industry can sometimes provide further, you know, there can be variances in the quality of information provided. So in finance, I got, you know, quite into the detail of that to make sure that things were just working better. And I'm very keen to try to work with all of you to really listen to where you say there are issues, tell me where there are issues, and on the other side, let's just try and resolve any issues from the industry perspective, because we basically want the same thing, which is easier, quicker access to what we're trying to do here. So I am really, really very open to that. And I know that there was feedback previously, and of course this it predates me, around the resourcing process. And of course now you'll be aware that there was 34 additional staff which were allocated in budget 2024, which have now been hired. But there is a specialised skill set for those roles, and recruitment was a complex endeavour, I am told, but I believe that they are there. And look, let's see what the difference that makes. But continue to talk to me, continue to raise issues as you feel you're there. So we need to shorten that time gap between EMA approval and reimbursement in application in Ireland, and that gives us a bit of an opportunity for choice for state and for patients, and I really do share the desire for greater transparency in that area. So, and glad to confirm that the HSE launched its initial iteration of the reimbursement application tracker in December. In 2025, the HSE will continue the tracker's development with the introduction of indicative timelines for each step of a medicine's assessment process, and I want to see that tool develop and mature further to provide a comprehensive overview of the status of applications as they move through the process. So we should have tangible improvements in capacity and transparency, both for capacity and transparency, which I hope will show our dedication to addressing access for you and for patients. But state expenditure on medicines and investment in resources have to also deliver real return for the taxpayer, consistent with security of supply. And the state is prepared to pay, of course, for necessary treatments and ensure that patients get therapies they need at a cost that represents value. And as you will be aware, there are growing and extensive demands for enhanced services across the health system, and notwithstanding the unprecedented investment to date, as part of the next agreement, we do have to recognise that there are finite resources and every investment has opportunity costs. And in particular for me, I'm trying to provide security around the finances of the health system over the next number of years. And I have to provide stability within that so that we can have genuine multi-annual agreements to fund health over the next number of years in a very predictable, secure and stable way that actually will enable us to do more, not less. And so as part of that, I have to be extra conscious this year as we price and as we reach agreements in relation to the pricing of things. And I hope that you will work with me to enable that more structured, stable pricing over the next number of years if we can get this year right. So the framework agreement comes as part of that. So the department and the HSE has enhanced its focus, as you'll be aware, on medicine sustainability in the past 12 months through the Medicine Sustainability Task Force. That work has facilitated the reinvestment of €20 million of savings to fund new medicines in 2024. The work will continue this year in 2025, with the task force targeting delivery of €30 million savings for reinvestment in new medicines. You also notice the programme for government commitment to investigate new approaches to earlier reimbursements for certain treatments, and I think that's a departure from the last decade of Irish health policy. And if we are to realise those objectives, we have to be sure that we develop the best possible mechanism that's fair, affordable and demonstrably improves patient outcomes. And I appreciate that you have unique insight on this, and as I said, I am really interested to hear and work with you on that. Can I highlight another piece just that's completely unrelated to the medicines, to the framework? But just the HSE Health app itself, just completely differently. Yesterday we launched the HSE Health app for the first time. And if you go onto your Google Store or the App Store on an iPhone, which is the one I have and it's the only one I understand, and if you put in HSE Health app, don't, like me, put in HSE app, HSE Health app, you can download for the first time your own personalised app to track your medicines, to track, it's fantastic. You can see all of your vaccination records on it. You can track you'll be able to put in and track any medicines that you're taking. Obviously everybody will be able to do this. It will make it much easier for people to make appointments within the public health system. You can find a GP, you can find a primary care centre, you can find an urgent emergency care centre. But crucially, what people are going to have in their hand, in the way that they have for their bank, in the way that they have for their shopping, is their own health on their phone and being able to track that over time. And I hope for you that, I'm really interested to hear how, as we develop the technology around it, as we develop our electronic health records generally, how can we work with you to have better transparency about what people are using, how they're using it, how they're getting it, that we're not, that there's reducing wastage in the system as well. But I would just ask you and encourage you to have a look at this HSE Health app, download it if you can. We were hoping as many people will as possible. It's the first stage in our electronic health records journey. This app, then the shared card record, and hopefully, if I get the funding, the money for the electronic health record more broadly. So do have a look at it, please. I think it's the first stage and something that's going to be really interesting. But look, in conclusion, I'm here today to listen and to get to meet as many of you as possible. I'm delighted to have had the opportunity to do that in the first few weeks of taking over as Minister for Health for the period that I will. And I'm really, really interested in working with you both nationally and on a European basis in making sure that we protect this sector from innovation and competitiveness perspective, and that we work together to deliver the extraordinary work that you do and all of the different companies that you do it, to bring the tangible benefit of that to the patient, not just in Ireland, but right across Europe, and to make that equitable, fair access available as broadly as possible. I thank you so much for having me today, and best of luck with your conference.